What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the FrEEK Show. We got Munk and Moose here, as always. And today, not quite sure what we're doing, because Moose is actually going to be taking over today. So, Moose, what do you got for us?
So,
Is it about the Snyder Cut? Because that was amazing.
So, what is the first thing you think of when you hear the Headless Horseman?
Sleepy Hollow?
Okay. Are we talking like the original?
We're talking
like,
the book, the movie with Johnny Depp, the TV show,
Just
that
like
crappy,
any form of...
fucking movie with Nick Carter in it.
So, you're familiar
Yes.
with the story of the Headless Horseman.
Yes.
And it's, it's been told several different ways throughout the years. With the original, stories, there's always it's he's, coming after people until he finds his head. In the Johnny Depp version, it's a little bit different. There's like a slight twist to it, and each retelling has its own twist.
Yeah.
So today I have for you something that actually Lee suggested.
Thanks once again.
Yes. The person who constantly just gives us ideas for this channel.
Yep. Including the last two FrEEK shows, or the last two true crime FrEEK shows, I should say.
Yeah. Something called the Dullahan, also referred to as the Headless Horseman.
I know of these things vaguely, just because they're in a lot of fantasy role-playing games. Like even the Sword Art Online game that I'm playing, there's Dullahans.
So these are a type of fae originating in Irish folklore. I know that we've talked a lot about different kind of cryptids and creatures and stuff that could be connected to the fae, including I think the last one that I did,
the Puckwudgies,
which was the Puckwudgies, which are considered a type of fae. They are obviously going to be a different kind of fae than a Puckwudgie. Or even like the fae that you think of when you're like, oh, it's like a fairy.
So
this is obviously much more like dark and sinister.
The way, just kind of the way that it's normally displayed as is kind of like, I think for the most part, they've kind of been like centaurs. Only the top half is like armored and there's no head.
Okay.
That's the way that they're usually portrayed.
So it can appear as a man or a woman riding on a black horse, but as per literally every legend, they have no head.
Okay.
Typically, the Dullahan carries the head under its arm.
Much like the Headless Horseman.
Yeah, and sometimes the head appears like dead and rotten with a demonic grin on its face. So, seeing something with its head under its arm and like a demonic grin on its face is gonna be a little off-putting, and like I said, this is definitely different from what you would normally think of when you think of a fae. The Dullahan carries a whip made from a human spine, which is pretty sick if I do say so myself. They sometimes pull wagons that are adorned with funeral objects like candles and skulls, stuff like that, tapestries. The spokes of the wheels are made from thigh bones. The wagon's covering is made from like worm-chewed paws or dried human skin.
This just sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, so like get that imagery into your head and just
Oh, I've got it in my head.
it's horrifying.
It is.
I can't imagine this thing coming towards me. So when the Dullahan stops riding, it's where a person is supposed to die, and when Dullahan calls out that person's name, the person immediately dies.
They don't
Kind
have
of
a
like
head.
the head is under their arm.
So it can still talk through the head?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess, like, this is gonna sound so stupid, but
We've had sentient pants, okay? We've had sentient pants. That's right, you guys. We got sentient pant shirts. We've also got Munk and Moose shirts, and there's a fourth one. What's the fourth one?
welcome to the FrEEK show.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't quite sure.
But
Message her
yeah,
on Twitter for that.
Yes. It's so if anyone else has seen Supernatural, because I know you have, it genuinely kind of reminds me of a Reaper.
In a way.
Because it appears where and when someone is meant to die, and when it's time to take them, it takes them.
Unless you're Dean.
Correct. There is no way to bar the road against a Dullahan. Locks and gates open when they approach them, so there's no way to, like, keep them from getting into somewhere. They don't appreciate being watched while they're on their errands, and they are said to throw basins of blood on people who do watch them.
What if you're watching them from a distance?
Well, I guess it's kind of like a he sees you when you're sleeping type thing, like, regardless of where you are,
Fucking Krampus ass
he
motherfucker.
knows. So, the basin of blood is often seen as a mark that you're the next person to die.
So it's pretty much a mark of, like, alright, I'm gonna go take care of my business, but I'm gonna be right back here for you.
Yeah. And they have even been known to lash out at the watcher's eyes with their spinal cord whips, which is pretty dope. I really do just want a whip made out of a human spine.
That's not demented at all.
It's so cool. So cool. They are, however, frightened of gold. And even a single gold pin can drive a Dullahan away. So it's kind of,
I take it they don't
like I
get
said,
along.
this
They,
is-
they don't get along with leprechauns then.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, where this is an Irish, kind of twist on it, this is very, drawn to the same kind of lore, which I believe leprechauns are considered types of fae.
Probably. We should ask Warwick Davis if we ever get the chance.
I'm a leprechaun, me dear.
Sorry. But I mean, I think they're considered types of fae in folklore. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone. But everything seems to kind of, like, weirdly come together, but it's, like I said, I think that's mostly because it's, like, this is all combined in Irish folklore. So, some of the most commonly known examples of the Headless Horseman are from, the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and, like, the English tale of it. And actually, in the poem of Gawain and the Green Knight, there's a Headless Horseman who is a giant knight, and he's beheaded by Gawain, and the Green Knight lifts up his own head with one hand and rides from the hall, challenging Gawain to meet him again a year later. So he said, fuck around and find out.
Give me 1 year, I'm gonna train up, and then I'm gonna kick your ass again. Come on, meet me again. Bet you won't. Head hanging.
The most prominent Scots tale of the Headless Horseman is about a man named, I believe it's Ewan. He's decapitated in a clan battle, and the battle denied him any chance to be a chieftain, and both he and his horse are headless. And it, like, is apparently like a haunting type thing. Like, it's an actual place. That they're like, yeah, this is haunted. It's in Glen Canyon. I feel like I'm butchering that, and I feel like I'm gonna get shit on.
We don't have that big of a fan base. It's okay.
We'll put the spelling here. But it's on the Isle of Mull. So yeah. And there's also the Headless Horseman that was first published in monthly serialization form during 1865 and 1866, and was based off of Mayne Reid's adventures in the US, and it was published as a book in 1866, also known as A Strange Tale of Texas, where there were, you know, tales of the Headless Horseman based on, like, Texan lore. So, like, that's when it started really kind of evolving into the Headless Horseman that we know today, is with, like, some of those more, like, ground-building stories that, you know, there were the English ones and the Scottish ones and the Irish ones. But I'd say that this was one of the 1866 one was kind of one of the ones that built it up more in America and kind of gave us what's developed into the Headless Horseman that we have today and all the tales that we have of it.
Because isn't Sleepy Hollow itself, like, isn't that, like, based in the U.S.?
Mm-hmm.
So it probably drew the inspiration off of that.
Well, there are some that are based in... It depends on what version you have, like, that you're reading or watching, because some are based in the U.S. and then some are based in, like, England. I think the TV show is based in, like, Washington?
Somewhere here in the U.S., I know that.
But, I mean, the TV show is based in Washington, and I think the Johnny Depp version...
That one I don't know.
It's weird.
They don't really say.
It's very vague.
I mean, it's Tim Burton, so it could be anywhere. Fair. For all we know, it could have been on the moon. Stanley Kubrick.
But that kind of, yeah.
So
I kind of just wanted to talk about that.
Do we know, like, what brought on the Dullahan?
Not from anything that I, like, read into.
Okay.
Don't really know.
They're just kind of a thing that exists.
Yeah. And, I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff within folklore that, like, we don't know the origin of it. It just kind of appeared one day, and we were like, that tracks.
Alright. Sure, that's a thing.
There's a fucking man-bear pig now.
Man-bear pig.
But,
Great, now I just think about Gore in South Park.
But yeah, I mean, I think that, like, part of the allure of this particular thing is the mystery to it. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't know a whole lot about, like, the origins of where it actually came from. Because, like I said, from what we, like, know, it's that there are several stories telling, you know, he was beheaded in battle, or he was, you know, the head decapitated in, an accident or something. There's so many different tellings of it that you never really quite know which one it is, but you always know that no matter what the origin of his beheading is, his purpose, his intent is the same: to behead others.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that makes him a lot creepier than a lot of the other things that I guess I've seen when it comes to folklore, because some of them are like, oh, like La Llorona. Like, she does it for revenge, for, specific reasons, or specific, on specific people.
There's a couple different reasons as far as why for La Llorona.
Yeah. But, like, for La Llorona, like, there's specific reasons for certain, and for, certain, like, if you get into ghosts, or if you get into, like, specific stuff in the paranormal, there's almost, like, 80% of the time reasons that things are happening, or that things do what they do when it comes to folklore and fairy tales. And this is just one of those things that it's just mindless. Like, it's got one purpose, and it's driven to do that purpose. And that is horrifying.
Just one reason. Let's kill.
Pretty much. And, like, that's terrifying to me. Because I can, like, understand, like, oh, the storyline with the Johnny Depp one, like, he's trying to get his head back, and, like, it's a whole big thing, like, someone's controlling him.
In the TV show, it's a case of, he's the horseman of death, like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
So, I mean, there's
that
always...
crappy Nick Carter movie, I don't remember.
Me neither.
I know I've seen it multiple times, but I just don't remember.
But there's a reason behind it, is the thing.
Yes.
And it just seems like in this folklore, this particular folklore, there's not a real, like, drive behind why. He just is.
Well, that's still pretty dope, though.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for teaching me about the Dullahan. I had no idea, like, it was an actual thing in folklore. I should have figured, though, because that's where RPGs usually get their, like, their inspiration from.
I thought it was interesting that he's considered a fae. Because,
that
like,
is really weird.
You do hear a lot of, like, depending on who you're talking to about it, like, fae can be vindictive, or they can be, like, mischievous or whatever, but never have I heard of, like, fae being intentionally malevolent, like, being harmful just to be harmful. And that was something that kind of, like, shook me a little. Like, it just wasn't something that I expected, because, when you think fae, you think small goblin-like or fairy-like creatures, and just the visage of this headless dude with a head under his arm
Being
pulling
a fae.
skin wagon, being a fae, is just
Crazy. It's wild.
horrifying. So yeah, I thought that was very intriguing.
It was. And, so that just about does it for this week, and tune in next week when I talk about the Amityville horror case. Oh, somebody's excited about that.
I love the Amityville horror case, and yes. I know you have been binge watching the movies. Prepare yourselves, children. I've seen them all. I've read the book.
I'm not... Honestly... So what gave me the idea was I watched Amityville: The Awakening. It wasn't horrible. Honestly, I bought it. It was on sale for $5. I bought it like 4 years ago. And I went and put it on because I didn't remember anything about it. And then I was just like, I'm going to actually look into the actual Amityville case. So that's what we're doing next week, folks. If you guys have any suggestions about anything that you guys want us to do, let us know down in the comments. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter. You can also let us know what you want us to do on there. Alright? Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay spooky, you guys.
Bye.